Hey y'all, welcome back. This is Michelle from Michelle's Empty Nest, and today I have a project for Syncopation Designs. This is from her Healthy Miind collection. It is the newest one in her shop. It's over on Etsy, and I'll make sure to link that down below. Jennifer does an amazing job designing just beautiful papers, awesome digital stamps, and ephemera pieces that you can use in multiple ways if you're using them digitally or in a hybrid format, which is what I do. So I have pulled what I think I'm going to use today. We'll start at the bottom. I've just got a 9x12 piece of basil cardstock. I think this is Avalanche. So this is going in my 9x12 album that is stories about me. So I just occasionally put something in there when the story arises or the mood strikes or whatever. So I've got that, and then I will have this paper on top, and I've cut it to 8x11. Now, I do not have a large format printer. It is on the horizon to get, but everywhere is sold out right now for the printer that I want. It has been that way for a while. So what I do to make this work for me is I just use the borderless setting on my printer. So I can get a full 8.5x11 sheet of paper, so I don't have to trim it down any from the 11-inch length. But in order to get a 1/2-inch border all the way around, I did trim it to 8 inches instead of 8.5, and that'll give me a nice even border all the way around. So even if you don't have a large format printer, you can still use these collections and get a lot of real estate out of your paper. Also, I did decrease this down in Photoshop probably to about 30% of the original size. So if you were to print it out as it comes in the collection, the bottles are quite a bit larger, which is great for the full 12x12, but in order to get lots of bottles on the background, they're medicine bottles. If you want to get more of them on your background paper, you can just shrink that down, resize it in Photoshop, or probably other programs as well. Photoshop is just what I use in order to make the pattern be a little bit smaller. Then I printed this kind of a teal blue color paper that comes in the collection, and it's got some little black, like speckly splatter distressing on it, and I just sized it down smaller as well, again, so that the dots and the spots were a little smaller, since I'm using something smaller than a 12x12, and I am going to use it to back my photo. So it'll be just a piece, you know, smaller than that. It is also going to become a pocket to hold my journaling. So this was a piece of digital ephemera. It says, "Hello, I'm doing my best." And I've printed that out at about 3x4. And I also made a 3x4 journaling card where I used the Break the Stigma digital stamp and then just recolored it, picking the color from not this lady's shirt, but another shirt that matched this paper fairly well. And then I put a piece of digital ephemera behind there. It's a girl holding her heart, and just lowered the opacity, and then put my text box over that to type my journaling. And then my photo is about 3 by 3, and it is of me holding the medications that I take for my mental health. So there's 3 different kinds, multiples of one kind, and that's what I'm currently taking as my medication regimen. It changes. If you are someone who deals with mental health issues, you'll know that you can't just seem to settle on one thing a lot of times. It's a lot of trial and error, and even after something's worked for a while, it may stop working, or you may have different symptoms that need to be addressed. And so for right now, this is the medications that I'm taking. So, and then I also have 2 sticker sets pulled to use as my title. This one is called Spellbound. I don't know what collection it was from. And then this is a Mondo Llama one in black, and this is a line that Target carries, and they're just really awesome little foam puffies. These are also foam with like some kind of top on them that's not foam, maybe like a cardstock top, but the core of them is foam as well. And I really like using the foam thickers. They seem to typically stick much better than some of the other kinds of thickers. So that's what I got. That's all my parts and pieces. Oh, I will say, if you're new here, I do print all of my digital papers on Canon matte photo paper. It is amazing the quality you can get. I mean, I can hold up these papers next to professionally produced papers, and the vibrancy, the richness, the quality is there. So if you've got some digital collections, if you have invested in those, it's worth investing in your paper as well. Although this paper is not expensive, it's cheaper than some other papers, but it just gives me wonderful, crisp, line-free, bold images that I love. So that is printed on Canon matte photo paper, as well as these 2 pieces. I did go ahead and print this on Canon Pro Luster paper. It's like a step down from semi-gloss, but it's not matte. So it's a little bit in between. It doesn't show fingerprints as much. And I just wanted it to have a little bit more of a shine to it than the matte paper. And then my photo, I also printed on the Pro Luster paper. So I think we've got all those preliminaries out of the way, and I think I have probably talked enough. Sorry, I don't usually do that long of an introduction, but I did want you to know what I'm using, because I don't think the actual put together process that I'm going to speed up is going to be that long. So I'm going to go ahead and get you on fast forward. I'll come back and talk to you at the end. So let's do it. All right, as I said, this is a creative team project for Syncopation Design, and she has an Etsy store where you can find all of her collections that are available, so I'll make sure to link that down below. Now, I am going ahead and distressing the edges of this main background paper, and I knew as soon as I saw this collection that this was the first paper that I was going to use, and I knew exactly what story I was going to tell. I didn't have to think about it. I knew right away. So I was glad to be able to have a collection that would support this kind of story. So you saw me put some adhesive just in the middle area of the paper so that when I take this over to my sewing machine, I can stitch around it without gumming up my needle. And I just stitched in some black thread and did my little style of messy stitching. I like those little extra stitches back and forth on the corners, and that's kind of typical of what I always do when I'm stitching something. And here I'm adhering what I turned into the front of this like pull-out piece for the journal card, as well as the journaling. I'm adhering them back to back and just trimming those up, making sure they're even. And then I need to decide about how big I'm going to make my pocket. So that's what I was doing there, just kind of testing it out. And I'm just going to use my trimmer and estimate pretty closely what looks to my eye to be even for a nice little square there. And I am going to distress the edges of this piece as well, and then you'll see me grab over some score tape. I just used, I think it's 1/8 of an inch. I just used very thin score tape to hold this one in place, but it'll do just fine. And I will say, if you're using digital products in a hybrid manner, if you will take the time to distress, if that's your thing, if not, then this wouldn't apply to you. But if you'll distress or stitch or add dimension or add splatters or mixed media, anything like that, it is going to not seem like a digital collection. So if you are wanting it to seem more like a traditional scrapbook collection, those are some simple, easy things you can do to make that happen. All right, so before I stick my picture and my journaling piece down, I'm going to go ahead and get the title in place. And y'all, normally I really worry about my title, and I grab out a T-ruler and my little Thickers alignment tool, and I just went for it today. I'm just telling you, I went right for it, and it turned out all right. So it was okay in the end. But so I used that one set of thickers. I forget, was it Stardust or something, or I can't remember what it was. It's probably nothing to do with Stardust. I don't know why that came to mind. Skyline, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I used that thicker set for the It's Okay part. And then I'm using this one, the Mondo Llama one from Target. It's a line they carry, their craft line. So I'm using that to knead them. And I will come back. I don't put any punctuation, but since my title really made a complete sentence, I do come back right at the end and pull a period off of that Mondo Llama thicker sheet and make it actually be a sentence with a period. So some of these letters, I like the fact that the foam thickers tend to stick better than some other types of thickers, but at the same time, they like to stick to the backing paper as well. So I did have to kind of wrestle with a couple of those letters to get all the backing off. And you'll see that had tape on 4 sides because I put it on the wrong side to start with. I put it where it was not going to have a pocket in the right area. So I just left that piece of score tape with the backing on it. I think it's going to be okay. If it presents a problem, I can always go back and reprint that piece and be all right. So I decided I needed a few other pieces to just kind of round this out. I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do beyond this point until I got to this point. So I went back to the collection and I printed out 2 of the same clouds, but I mirrored one and made it a tiny bit smaller in Photoshop. And then I printed out that little sad cloud and the little pink cloud that says help. And so I'm fussy cutting all of those. Now, if you get the collection, the elements do come with the PNG files, cut files, so that you can print and cut without having to go through any other trouble. But since I was only using 4 pieces, I just decided to fussy cut them instead of, going through and using my Cameo for that. And I am going to put foam tape on the back of these. This is the 3L Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L. That's my favorite foam pads. I'll find my words in just a second, I promise. And so on this little blue cloud, I am going to double up the foam pads so that it can still have a little bit of depth between it and the cloud below it, since I'm overlapping them. And just randomly placing them so that it won't really interfere with trying to pull out my journaling cards. So that's why I put that one on that side a little higher up instead of the other side being higher up. I was trying to think ahead to that. And so I'm just going to get all these in place. And I think somewhere here soon is when I pull over and put the period in place. Yes, here we go. And then I'm going to grab over, I use Dr. P.H. Martin's Black Star Waterproof India ink in matte. I'll try to link that below. It's just a very good, very opaque black paint with it being an India ink. And so I like that to make splatters. And I just felt like splatters were kind of appropriate here in black since, the topic I'm talking about is kind of heavy. And again, it kind of served to ground what I was doing. So I am going to finish up. I put my date stamp on off camera. I had forgotten to do that. And so I do date stamp it somewhere at the end off camera. And that's going to just about finish me up. And I will be right back here to talk to you in a second. Okay, I'm going to call this one good right here. I'm happy with how it turned out. I did realize that I needed some more stuff to fill up my page, so I went back and printed out some more of the elements, which is what they are called in the collection when you get those. They're basically ephemera pieces, but you can use them in many different ways since you are getting the set digitally. And I just think that adding the splatters, the stitching, the distressing, all of that makes it look like this could have been just a regular paper collection and not something that you manipulated and worked with digitally. So I love that about these collections. So let me go ahead real quickly and just read you my journaling. It's not too long. So I did use the Break the Stigma digital stamp. It just comes in black. I believe they may be black and white in the set, but I recolored it to kind of tie in with the papers and things that I used. So I said, I'm not sure how as a society we decided that mental health should be treated differently than physical health, but we did in a big way. I have a lot of things working in my favor. Too many to list here, yet I still struggle with depression, anxiety, panic attacks, PTSD, and at one point, suicidal thoughts. I've tried to fight it alone. I've relied on my faith to pull me through. I have an awesome support system, including my husband, my doctors, and my therapist. However, none of those can fix the chemical imbalances in my brain or erase the things I've been through in the past. I need medication. It's as plain and simple as that. Will I need them forever? Only time will tell. And if I do, then so be it. My medications take me back much closer to who I used to be, to who I like to be, to who I want to be, and to who my family deserves. It's okay to need them. And so that is my journaling for that. Just a bit of my story. My support system helps. My faith helps. All of those things help, but they don't do what medications can do for people who truly need them for their mental health. So if nothing else, from this layout, let's work on breaking that stigma. It's something I talk about a lot. I'm always very open and authentic here on my channel with you, and you've been through some struggles with me, some pretty dark and deep struggles since I started this channel about a year ago, I guess, somewhere around in there. I need to look and see, but yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this layout today. I appreciate you stopping by and spending time with me so very much. If you enjoyed the video, I would love a thumbs up down below. And if you have not already subscribed to my channel, please consider doing that, as well as following me over on Instagram. So there will be some close-ups at the end, as well as over on Instagram, if you would like to check those out and see the journaling and read it for yourself. And until I see you in the next video, take care of yourself, do something good for yourself, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.